Anthony Murore on Book Place, the author of Be Good for Good and admin of Book Place. And today we have Book Talk where we have a very special guest with us. And I'm going to introduce the guest. The guest is none other than Angela Lenhardt. I guess I got that right. She'll tell me.
Perfect.
Yeah, you mean?
Yes.
Now, Angela is a life coach, is a motivational speaker, and is also an author. And this is why she's here talking about a book that she's written, and not only one book, but today we are going to focus on this one book that she's written. It's called
A
what?
charmed journey. A charmed journey.
A Charmed Journey.
An inspired guide to personal transformation.
Exactly. So before we dive right into the book, can you please tell us whom you are? I just said a brief of whom you are. You can tell us a bit more of exactly whom you are.
That's such a good question. And who am I? I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. That's what I am. And
Wonderful.
I'm just walking around in this human suit trying to live my best life. And
Mhm.
I find myself in the most precarious situations sometimes. And I just, take things with a grain of salt and really have a lot of faith and move forward in the best way I know how. So, but I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a horse lover, I'm a yogi. I know there's so many things in life that I love to do. So I can kind of consider that all of, that's who I am. I do all of these different aspects of life. And, and right now I'm sitting here talking to you and sharing my personal adventures and experiences in transforming my world and
Mhm.
turning it around, because I know that it can be done. And it does take a little bit of work and a lot of tenacity and some
Yeah.
perseverance. But um, there's no doubt in my mind that if you truly want to accomplish a goal or transform your world or whatever
Mhm.
that looks like to you, you can do it, but you're going to have to commit to doing it.
Wonderful. You can do it. I like that. And we are very honored to have you in this show. And I believe someone from here is going to come out jumping and rejoicing because he or she has had something important for his life. And yes, so what is Charmed Journey about?
Well, it is. So here's my book, and it's so interesting because I don't even have a current edition. This is like probably like the first book. Um, I'm self-published, so I couldn't find a publisher, so I self-published the two books myself, and it is about my life experiences
Mhm.
on living a spiritually guided life. So I have just a strong faith. I believe in God and angels and my happiness. And the my book originally began because I was seeking my meaning of happiness, and I
Yeah.
didn't know where happiness was. I thought happiness was someplace that you could go or something that you could buy, or it was all about fancy toys and shiny things. And at the end of the day, I found that my happiness had nothing to do with those things. The happiness
Okay.
had to do with me
Yeah.
and how I felt about myself and how I was showing up in the world. And
Yeah.
that in the process of discovering that has truly led me to the meaning of happiness.
Oh,
And through my experiences, and I just am so grateful for my experiences. And um, nothing was easy. There was a lot of sacrifice that went into writing the term journey, and also my second book, because I was just committed to really sharing this message of positivity and a greater power that operates through us, with us,
mhm.
works with us when we are open to receive the guidance. And that's what I do. I'm an intuitive, and some people could call me psychic. Some people can call me just whatever. I really don't care. A life coach, whatever works. I just have always been very passionate about helping people, and I help them through practical experiences. So
Okay.
it isn't, yes, I've had to read numerous books. I've had to take classes and study, and I've had to have some educational pieces, but my true education has come from the guidance of Mother Nature, and studying from animals, and learning how the universe operates, that we are magnetic beings,
Yeah.
energetic beings. So
Mm-hmm.
it is about our energy, and presenting our best self at all times, even in the most difficult situations,
Yeah.
because that is where your growth happens.
Mm-hmm. So
So
wonderful. Mm-hmm.
long story short, that's how a charm journey began. Is I lost everything, and I walked away from a toxic relationship, and I just said, the hell with this.
Yeah.
There's got to be something out there better for me than what I'm doing now, because I just found myself repeating the same cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And then God pretty much, took over my steering wheel, and I'm not kidding. And that is where the transformation literally began.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. And I heard you mention that this is not the current edition. So how long ago did you write this book?
This book, my first book came out, I think, in 2012. So I wrote this book, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And then so I went to the local print store, and I said, I've written this book, print off 50 copies. And I, just paid for each copy as I went. And then, but I did have one goal in mind. And I made this commitment with, the book started with a conversation with God. And I said, okay, God, I'm going to share these experiences, but I need this thing to happen. And I needed to, because at the time I didn't have any credibility. And I
Mm-hmm.
just thought I was out there, being some crazy chick, with like 3 heads.
Yeah.
And so I said, all right, God, if this is, meant to be, and I'm really doing what my soul path, what you've designed for me to live
Yeah.
my path, I
Mm-hmm.
want Wayne Dyer to endorse it.
Oh.
So after I had, had the first hard copy,
Mm-hmm.
I got out a piece of paper, like a pink piece of paper and a Sharpie, and I just wrote a letter to Wayne Dyer, and I said, dear Wayne, I am the person who I am today because of your teachings,
Yeah.
and I followed everything you've said, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. And here is my first book, and I would love for you to endorse it, because I dream big. That's what I said. And
Oh.
truly, within 2 weeks, he sent me an endorsement for my book.
Whoa.
And how I found his address was through my intuition. So everything that I've done, everything that I've accomplished is 100% through my intuition. Wasn't because I was handed anything. I had to work for it.
Yeah. We have to work for what we want in life, and some things don't come easy. Now, when you mentioned that you self-publish, I guess it's through trying several ways to find a publisher, which was not working, I guess.
Well, since I was, nobody in the industry, and I
Mhm.
hadn't established myself yet, I couldn't find a traditional publisher, because I
Yeah.
didn't have a big enough platform. I didn't have the pocketbook behind me. So I had to be able to share my message. So I thought, well, I'll figure out how to self-publish. And that's exactly what I did. And
Mhm.
I'm so happy that I got turned down. I was told no time after time after time again. And I always say, when people tell you no, you just keep asking. You just keep out knocking on the door, because sooner or later someone's going to tell you yes.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and even with my second book, I self-published that as well.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
good.
was, pitching that. And, it was one literary agent. He said to me, oh, I'm not going to accept your book. He says, but you keep going. He says, somebody's going to pick that up someday and create
Yeah.
a movie. And I'm like, finally, but so who knows? I just said it, I just put it out there and see how it's going to unravel. And I'm just happy that I, committed to a goal and stuck with it despite challenges.
Now that's how it goes. And someone said that when someone tells you no, what he really means is next opportunity, and
That's
or
right.
next opportunity. So you don't stop. When you're told no, you know that there is another opportunity that is waiting ahead, and you have to keep on going. You have to wake up tomorrow and look forward for a better day tomorrow than is today or was yesterday. So that's good. Uh,
Yes, that's right.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And when you came to write the book, I mean, when this call came to write the book, you are in search of happiness, as you say, and ran out of a toxic relationship. And I find this story so much. I mean, even the previous guest that I had yesterday was talking about getting away from a toxic relationship. What does a relationship has to do have to do with with the way that you live, with the success that you have, the happiness that you enjoy? I mean, according to your perspective.
Well, according to my perspective and my experiences, and I've been doing this work as a coach for over 17 years now. So
Mhm.
I have talked to quite a few people in my career.
Yeah.
And but I really found that until we truly heal from the deep level of our souls and
Hmm.
transform those painful situations, whether it is from a childhood or beyond that, friends, whatever that is, we walk around with these emotional burdens.
Hmm.
And because I said that we are energetic beings,
Hmm.
that energy, that it's that painful, that hurt energy that is resonating within our own hearts goes out into the world. It's a subconscious thing, and you attract what it is that you don't want.
Yeah.
Just because you part of this process of mastering yourself is to transform your life and to heal yourself. So of
Okay.
course we have to attract a relationship because relationships generally mirror who we are, whether you want to admit it or not. They generally reflect aspects of yourself that the universe wants you to heal.
Yeah.
So you when you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear that, and you can look at the situation as, okay, I have attracted this relationship,
Hmm.
it's toxic right now. What lesson is it about me that I need to learn about myself?
Yeah.
So it might be around, boundaries. It might be around not attracting a narcissist and sticking up
Hmm.
for yourself.
Hmm.
It might be, around respect, respecting who you are and understanding your own motives of why you want a relationship.
Hmm.
Because generally, when we go into a relationship from a needy perspective,
Yeah.
because we need to have someone in our world, otherwise we're not going to be happy. Well, guess what? That person is probably not going to make you happy either, because that isn't that person's job to make you happy.
Hmm.
Your own happiness is within you.
Yeah.
And when you put that expectation on other people to fulfill this void,
Hmm.
that I need another human being because this other human being is going to make me happy, you're setting yourself up for failure. And you're also setting yourself up to for another life lesson
Yeah.
on, getting your act together, healing yourself.
Hmm.
And those lessons are difficult because you have to look in the mirror
Yeah.
and what is it about me that I'm unhappy with? Is it about that I don't love myself enough? Because when you truly figure out that the self-love that you have within you begins then to radiate out into the world, you attract a different set of individuals, relationships, career opportunities. Like seriously, it's kind of a magical place. And I just look at it in awe, and I'm like, well, thanks God, that's really cool. And I really, once I'm in late into my 40s now, but in my 20s and 30s, I was a wild train wreck. I was, I was just, I don't know what I was doing, but I thank God I was doing it, and I was guided along the way, not realizing that I was guided. But I just found myself in the most, the relationships that I was like, what am I doing here? And it
Hmm.
wasn't until I really stood up and said, stop it, stop it to myself.
Yeah.
And what is it about me that needs to transform is when everything else changed.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Now,
Yeah.
let's get this very clear. Now, you tell us that you walked from a toxic relationship. And again, we hear that it's a person who attracts the kind of relationships that he's going to have. So does this mean at some point you yourself or a person, any other person out there who is in a toxic relationship, is he or herself toxic before so that he attracted a toxic person?
So what I'm saying is that there's a hurt underneath. There's a hurt that lays on your own heart.
Yeah.
And it usually stems from something that's happened in the younger years as a child or a teenager, that's unresolved within yourself.
Yeah.
We typically look then for a partner or some relationship to heal that wound that hasn't been addressed in those younger years. And those are very, those are fragile years in our life. And that's why,
sure.
14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 10, 9, 7, those imprints that we hear, those words that we hear from our parents truly define our limits, they and our what we believe in about ourselves. And then from that point, we think that the world should look this way. And then we go and we attract from an energetic standpoint and physical standpoint then, because whatever we think we become, it manifests into matter. There then represents that lesson on how to heal parts of yourself. So I've been in toxic relationships. That's how a charm journey began. But I'm using that word toxic a little loosely, because I could say that he was probably my greatest teacher. He was my greatest teacher, because now I can look at it and go, oh, hell no, we're not doing that again. But without that relationship, I wouldn't have gotten to be this person, and I wouldn't have written that book. So how do you want to look at it? Do I want to look at it as a toxic experience, or do I want to look at it as an opportunity? Because it does depend on it does depend on your attitude and how you want to perceive it.
Yeah, and is looking at the positive side of life every single day.
Every single time. I've heard in my experience, I've heard the most just heartbreaking, wrenching stories about, relationships and from abuse to you name it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And, and sometimes I don't even have the words to say to an individual sitting across from me, but what I can do is I can hold space for them to help them heal in whatever capacity, the divine has for them in that sacred moment. Because I truly feel that if you can hold space for love to shift an experience, it'll happen. It'll happen. I've witnessed it over and over again. And do I believe in miracles? Absolutely. I've written about them over and over and over again. And just based off of what I've experienced in the path that I've been forced to live. And when I say forced to live, I've kind of been forced to live it. So yes, I've had a choice, but as I mentioned in the beginning, when I was praying about it, I said, God, what do I need to do to change my life? I was given instructions. And so I couldn't waver on those instructions, because I wanted to transform my world. And all of a sudden in this time that I think we're all experiencing as a world, now my book is totally, risen to the surface, and because people are searching for that deeper meaning of happiness, and is there a God, and what do I believe in? So, to each their own. I'm not here to, proselytize anything. I'm not here to say this is the way that it is, this is the way it's got to be. I'm just sharing, this is the way that I've done it. So hey, here's a tool, put it in your tool bag. If it works, great. If not, leave it out.
Yeah, okay, that's very good. And you're talking about a journey. Now, does this journey has stages? I mean, from stage 1 to 2 to 3. I mean, this charmed journey.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think that our journey, as long as we're breathing, we still have a journey. And I think that, each throughout different stages in life, we kind of close one door and another door opens. And in some crazy way, I don't understand this either. I feel like this part of a charm journey has come to a close, and I don't know how, but it just seems like it has. I don't know really what's on the next, you know, what that next door is going to be about. I do know what I want to do as far as projects
Mm-hmm.
go, but what my plan is and what God's plan is are two totally different things. So, I just stay in the present moment
Yeah.
and just really become aware of what is being shown to me, because what our purpose is to help the person in front of us, whatever that is. So when you need to when we ask ourselves a question, what is my life purpose, what am I supposed to do with my life? Well, you're supposed to do, well, whatever's in front of you, do that,
Mm-hmm.
do that, and
Mm-hmm.
don't get too heady about it and think too far in the future, because then you're allowing anxiety and fear to ruminate in the mind, and then it becomes very paralyzing. So if you just set the intention every day to, how can I serve today, how can I serve that person in front of me today, you will find that the universe will lead you to your purpose through
Yeah.
your experiences. So it isn't, knowing that life purpose isn't, um it isn't a mind thing, it's a heart thing, because
Uh-huh.
everybody is born with a purpose and a gift, on their hearts. And
Yeah.
the journey is to discover what that is through trial and error, through making mistakes, through, how many times I've made mistakes, like at least 50 times a day I make mistakes.
Oh,
I
that's good.
absolutely,
Yeah.
I've made so many mistakes. You know, I I piss a few people off at least twice a day, and I just see it as, oh, it's a growing experience, and maybe I'll do better next time, right? As Maya Angelou would say,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we do better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if we approach life that you always have to be perfect, and this is the set path, you're almost you might not do it, just because fear has just like I said, a paralyzing way of creeping in when you least expect it, and stopping you. And then the mind begins to create a story of, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, and then you end up not doing it, when truly your gift is right there for you to share with the world, but you have to have courage and
Oh,
pursue
yeah,
that.
sure. And I can't imagine how many people don't move ahead just because they fear something. They feel that they are not enough. They just lack something in them to keep them moving and push ahead and go to their big dreams. And I like it that you are a big dreamer. You dream big dreams.
Well, of course, I mean, we have one life to live. I mean,
Yeah.
we're only here for a short period of time,
Oh, sure.
and
Mm-hmm.
you might
Sure.
go for it. You might as well do it. Do what that feeling is on your heart. But I
Mm-hmm.
always say, do what's on your heart, but take your head with you, because you're going to have to strategize and use common sense. And but if you truly understand who you are from a soul perspective,
Mm-hmm.
then that gives you an opportunity on how to maneuver through life's challenges.
Mm. And I get it that you are working with people. I mean, helping people or assisting them. I don't know how you put it, but you work with people, is it?
Yeah, I have a private practice, so I either host, Zoom sessions, or people face to face. I also do a lot of business consulting, so
Okay.
I'm hired to sit in on certain meetings before they go into big negotiations, because I am an intuitive, so I read body language, so I can also tell if people are being on the up and up, or what story they're telling. I just sit over there like a fly on the wall, and I just observe. They always say that the most dangerous person in the room is the one who listens. So
Yeah.
I just am a really good listener, and because the wisdom is often in the words that aren't being spoken. You have to read between the lines,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Sure.
that's with relationships. You have to listen to what, actions speak louder than words. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a true statement.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
So when you are in a certain relationship, whether it's a business or personal relationship,
Mm,
just become aware what isn't being said, because that's often the truth behind it,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Sure.
I mean,
So
watch people's eye contact, watch their body behavior, watch how they're showing up, because that
uh,
is the truth.
yeah. 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 Sure. Exactly. And yeah, so you're going to share with us at some point or how people can get to you. I mean, I believe that we have some people who are going to watch this and they are saying, hey, I need someone to walk with me, to catch my hand as I am moving. Because we always need someone who is encouraging us, who is pushing us a bit, who is, or even being ahead and calling us forward. Uh, I see that as a necessary thing in life.
I think it's important to have somebody that you can trust and give, that you can receive, good advice from, and
Mhm,
somebody who's walked in a very similar path.
mhm.
So I uh, I have a website, angelalenhardt.com. So I have all my information's on my website, and my books are available on Amazon. So you can just, order them online, and the fairy godmother will bring it over, and or Amazon, one of the two, and that's how you can reach me. I'm pretty simple, just um, go to my website. I run all my own social media. I answer all my own phone calls, and
Oh,
do my own emails, because I feel like really not that cool. I'm here just to help people. I'm here to be in the trenches with everyone else. I'm still in the trenches too. We're
yeah,
still.
yeah, yeah.
we, I don't think, as you and I said earlier, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're definitely in the wrong room.
Mm-hmm.
So go outside of your comfort zone, and seek out the people that you want to maybe be like, or
Yeah,
that you look up to, who are a positive influence,
yeah, yeah, sure.
who are out there to really contribute to the world, and not just through uh, the fancy shiny things, about the stuff that actually matters, like joy, and having heartfelt relationships, and authenticity and integrity, and all those things that are at the core of who you are as an individual,
Yeah,
because that's what matters. you
yeah,
know
yeah, that's what
there are
matters.
a lot of filters and backgrounds and all that fancy stuff on all that social media, and compared to
Yeah,
your.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why
And
it's
then
always good
compare
to.
yourself, when you compare yourself to that, you're going to find that you're not enough, because that's what the mind does. It says, oh, I'm not, skinny enough to do this. Well, heck, go do it anyway. Who
Yeah,
cares? You know?
exactly. Yes, and there's a lot of that going on, and people give up on life because they don't think that they are going to make it like those people they see on social media. They don't
Right.
know what is going on behind their back,
Yes,
or
absolutely.
yeah, you never know.
No.
Yeah, so back to the book. I believe some of those things that you're mentioning are deep inside the book, but maybe you'd like to highlight to us some of the points that someone is going to pick from the book that you've written, Charmed Journey.
Wow. So I have broken the book up into like um, three different sections. So I
Mhm,
thought from like a spiritual standpoint, an emotional standpoint, and a physical standpoint, because we are an energetic being. Like, as I
mhm,
said, we have a spiritual, like our spiritual energy that resonates around us, and within us, right? And then
mhm,
we have an emotional body, we have a mental body, our mind, and then we have a physical body, which is
mhm,
our body.
mhm.
So that's how I was guided on how to teach through my experiences through my book. So
Okay.
the spiritual stories are, from being with people who are transitioning.
Mhm,
Uh, Used to volunteer in hospice, and I remember I was sitting next to this woman,
mhm,
and she was clearly getting ready to transition, to
mhm,
pass. She
mhm.
wanted to pass. And I remember I walked into her room, and I said, well, where are you going? Because she had her suitcase packed.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'm getting ready to go. And I go, well, where are you going? I mean, she's like a 95-year-old woman, and she's, in hospice. And she goes,
Mhm,
well, I'm getting ready to go meet God. And she clearly had her bags packed, and she was ready to go. She was ready to check out of here. And
mhm,
I thought, oh my gosh, what's she talking about? And so I sat next to her, and we talked for a little bit. And then I remember I got up and I went to go get a glass of water or whatever out in the hallway. And
mhm,
all of a sudden she started to flatline, and all the nurses were rushing to her room, and she had passed away. So she was kind of waiting for me to leave,
mhm.
and she passed away, and she had her suitcase with her. And I thought, wow, how profound, and how wise, good for her. She packed her bags and took her stuff with her, who knows, you
Yeah.
know, but, so I have those kind of experiences through animals. And as I mentioned earlier, animals are animals. I am super passionate about animals and
Mhm.
children because, you know, to me, they're at the mercy of adults. Kids are at the mercy of their parents and the grown-ups who are influencing the world, from teachers to mentors to priests to whatever. So
Mhm.
they're at the mercy of the adults who are in charge. And the same goes with animals. you know and they don't understand how animals are here to help us heal and to also teach us some valuable lessons, like discipline,
Mhm.
like respect, like unconditional love.
Mhm.
Because animals don't have a bias, they don't have a story in their head, they're just here to
Yeah.
love you and to help you heal. And
Mhm.
feed them and water them and love them and take them for walks. People that like don't walk their animals and just let them sit in their house, I'm like, go outside, walk your dog, you might find that you need the fresh air too. And
Yeah. Yeah.
come
Yeah.
back and everything's changed, including your mental state, because you got some oxygen and sunshine on your skin, and
Mhm.
improved all the endorphins and vitamins and minerals that are available in Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So animals to me are just so influential and very guided by the universe as well, which my second book, Trigger the Wonder Horse, was written about, and was truly written about my God experiences, where, and I kid you not, I am not kidding.
Yeah.
Trigger got away from me. This was at the beginning of our relationship. So I've owned him for approximately 25 years. So
Mhm.
he's been with me longer than um, pretty much anything. And yeah, except for my dad and my brother and my
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
But, Trigger, I was taking him for a walk early on in our relationship,
Okay.
and we were next to a lake, and I sat down on this tree stump because I was tired. It was like a 3 or 4 mile hike, and I was wearing cowboy boots at the time. And I put the lead rope down, and this deer jumped out of the bushes, and Trigger took off for the barn. So he's running as fast as, he's just like, I don't know, like I swear he was like 100 miles an hour. He was just running for home, running to go back to the barn. And I started to chase him.
Mhm.
And I knew there was no way in this world I was going to be able to catch a frantic horse. I mean, I
Yeah.
clearly knew that.
Mhm.
But my worry was for him to get back to the barn, because horses always want to go back to their home. They will know where they, had to come from.
Mhm.
Uh, he had to cross 2 lanes of traffic,
Yeah.
and there was no way he was going to be able to cross those lanes of traffic without me.
Mhm.
And or so I thought. And as I was running to catch him, I was watching him, and this dust is just kind of blowing up behind him, and he's just headed for home, and he's sweating and just at a full sprint. And I ended up walking down this like little coulee. I'm running too, and I'm running down this coulee, and I lost sight of him for
Okay.
a couple of seconds.
That must have been scary.
And when I came up,
Yeah.
um, he was standing next to a woman that
Uh-huh.
was holding his lead, and she literally appeared out of nowhere, because this trail that we were on really wasn't a hiking trail, and
Okay.
you seldom see any people walking this trail. And this woman had somehow caught Trigger before he jumped out, and was on the highway where he was probably going to get hit by a semi or something.
Ah.
And I remember I walk up to her, and she looks at me and she said, "Are you missing somebody?" And I said, "Yeah, he's mine." And I said, "Well, how did you catch him?" And she said to me, "He looked like he needed help going home." And she handed me the lead rope. And I was in awe. I was in such shock. And I almost didn't, I like had to pinch myself. I didn't think he was even real, but Trigger's sweating, I'm sweating. And
Mhm.
I just said thank you. And I turned around and I started walking towards the barn. And I thought to myself, if I turn around, she's going to be gone. And I turned around and she was gone. So do I believe in angels? Absolutely. Do I believe that angels can show up when you least expect it? Absolutely.
Oh,
Because I've seen it over and over again. And we have no idea how God works. God works in mysterious ways. So whether
that
it's
does.
um, just a messenger, as far as hearing a particular word that day that resonates with you and it says,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I need to do this, or I need to, I feel inspired to do this project, or seeing a license plate, seeing, looking up and seeing the clouds in the sky. Everything's giving you some sort of awareness, some sort of signal that, we're being watched over. Whether you want to believe it or not, we're all being guided. But as soon as you really tap into that and own it, like you got to own it, like from a
Mhm.
deep space, and you walk with courage.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how that grows and becomes magnified into your life's experiences.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's quite
So
well answered.
just a couple of stories about that are in a charm journey. And then I have, being hit in the head with a gun. I have, uh, gosh, being homeless. Really, I mean, I didn't have a home. I didn't have a home. I wasn't homeless, but I had a storage unit with all my stuff in it, and I didn't have a place to call home. And that's how I wrote A Charmed Journey. It wasn't because I was living in a fancy house
Yeah.
and everything was great. I wrote it underneath a tree in the park.
Oh,
So there's nothing about this journey that was like fancy. It has been charming.
yeah. Mhm.
So
That's
I'm just
wonderful.
happy I did it because it has worked out. And I'm here to prove to you that you can do it. Anybody can do it, and life's going to throw, you know, baseballs at you all day long. And you just have to learn how to, sideswipe a little bit and then catch a few and just keep going.
And someone be ready for the transformation, like the caterpillar changes into a butterfly. Someone has to got to be ready to come out of the shell and come and fly and be.
You got to come out of your shell. You got to come.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, a caterpillar goes through, or a butterfly goes through 4 stages before it becomes a butterfly.
Mhm.
And it has to go through, the different stages just so it can so it can fly. And it's
Mhm.
just like us as human beings, we have to go through those challenging lessons in life
Yeah.
to truly build self-esteem and confidence. That kind of
Mhm.
stuff, you can't be handed that stuff. You have to literally earn it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
Sure.
earn it through life experiences. You can't go out and buy confidence. You can go buy, fun things that appear to give you confidence, but then you're going to need to chase the next best thing, the next shiny thing. So confidence and self-esteem and poise and all that truly emanates from inside.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then that's how you become that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah. So you don't buy anything, you earn it. You earn it through your blood, sweat, and tears.
You've got to earn it. You've got to be ready to sweat. You've got to be ready to shed blood at some point. If it comes to that,
Yes. Yes.
you've got to be
Yes.
ready
And you
for the
have
pain.
Yeah, and you have to sacrifice. There's a
Exactly,
little
sir.
bit of sacrifice that goes into it. What do you really want? So if you want to have $1 million in your bank account someday, well, maybe you might need to learn how to save. You might need to learn how to manage money. You might need to learn how to invest. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds. Well, then you're going to have to sacrifice. Watching what you eat.
Uh-huh.
Exercise. Watching it's whatever you want to do. You're going to have to come up with some sort of game plan on how to get there and stick with it.
Yeah, talk of sacrifice. I mean, we need to sacrifice some things in our life. And one of the things that is here before us, you've got a book. And it's not an everyday thing. It's not everybody who wakes up and writes a book. I mean, how long did it take you to write the book? And what were the sacrifices that you had to make in order for you to finish the book?
Well, A Charm Journey took me approximately 8 to 9 months to write. And
Whoa,
I sat down and wrote it every single day.
every single day.
Because every single day, I didn't allow myself not to do it. And even if I didn't have anything anything to say or didn't know how to say it,
Mhm.
I still showed up and I sat down at my computer and sometimes I sat there and didn't type anything, but I thought I'm going to discipline myself. And it's disciplining yourself to show up for
Oh, yeah,
yourself.
sure.
And so that's how that book, was able to even, be completed, is because I just continuously showed up for myself and committed to my sharing my own
Yeah,
message.
and mhm,
And so and because I didn't have a writing coach and I didn't have anyone in my
mhm,
world um, that I could ask, because I didn't have a lot of resources at the time. I had to do it through
yeah,
trial and error and through prayer. I had to pray about it and say, "Hey God, who do I need to do to help me with this?" And I didn't even know
yeah.
how to write a book. And the thing is I was completely
Mhm.
clueless, and I didn't even Google it, how to write a book. I just thought I'm going to sit down and open up my computer and start typing, and that's exactly
Yeah.
what I did. And so after I had written the manuscript, I said, "Okay, God, what's next?" Right? And he's like, "Well, and what, I'm very auditory, so I hear spiritual messages. Uh, I heard, on get on Google and Google spiritual editor something or other, like whatever the keywords were, and I did at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I went down. I looked through a page. I went through the next page. I looked through the next page, and I'm like, no, no, this is the guy right here. And I sent him a message, in the middle of the night, and I said, "Hi, I've written a book. Are you any good?" And he writes back to me, writes back at me the next day, and he says, "I love your style. You're short and to the point." He goes, "Yeah, I can help you." And I said, "Okay, great." And I just knew that person was for me, because when when you're when you're hiring people or having people help you with these personal items, you want somebody who can, walk with you and
Mhm.
help guide you through this process, because I really didn't know what I was doing. Um, so I found the right guy, and he helped me, he edited my book for me and made me dig a little bit deeper into my experiences, because when I had originally written the book, I didn't want to go that deep. We don't want to share that deeper message because we're ashamed or
Mhm.
guilty, or whatever those resentful, or whatever those heavy emotions are. And we're embarrassed. Who wants to share the failures in life? And I'm
Mhm.
like,
Nobody, not
no,
everybody.
no, it sucks. It
Yeah.
totally sucks.
Mhm.
But that's how you rise. And
Yeah.
you have to share those experiences, because it empowers other people to be able to go do their best life, whatever that means for them. So,
And yeah.
and then and my cover, I didn't even, I found my cover designer on Craigslist for,
Mhm.
he was a college student from
Okay.
Texas. So I sent him an email and I said, "Oh, can I see some, pieces of your work?" And I liked him. I liked the way that he looked. I loved his energy, and I thought him and I could work together. So that's I pieced it together. So none of this came together like, oh my gosh, whoa. It wasn't anything like that. It was more of just a shit show sometimes. And but here it is, and now it's been a bestseller, and I've sold quite a few copies, and it just continuously begins to share itself. Now the message just spreads itself. So I think that when you truly follow that inner calling and
Mhm.
you're sharing from that place of authenticity, the message will share itself.
Wonderful, wonderful. And there's something I want to imagine as someone is watching this show and seeing you. I want to believe that someone is watching his or her angel because you've walked the path. You can help the person walk the journey and show in publishing, in living life, in the success that someone is seeking. Then this could be the message to someone who is watching this show right now.
Absolutely. If they have a project that they want to do, or something creative within inside of them, our I truly think that we shut down our creative side because we get so logical, because it's so important to maintain that childlike spirit.
Yeah,
Who wants to act grown up all the time? You become too rigid and stuck in your ways, you're not that much fun.
yeah,
uh, So, enjoy your childlike like spirit, even in your 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. You never want to stop, living and dreaming and laughing. But oftentimes we have to heal aspects of our life to be able to laugh again and to be able to see the joy. And
Mhm,
that's what I am passionate about is like helping people heal so you can be free
mhm.
from those stories that may be in your past. And yes, the past is a past. We all have a past. None
Yeah.
of it's glorious, but the thing is that we've had to have a past, and you can heal and overcome that if you're committed to doing it. So
Many of us are held back because of our limiting beliefs, and we don't believe that we can. And
yes.
unless we try, unless we are willing to go out of the comfort zone, like you said before, we can
Well,
never achieve our dreams.
I love the word that you said. You said you have to be willing. So
Mhm.
you have to be willing to let go.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to trust.
Mhm.
You have to be willing to let go of the story and the pain
Mm.
associated with it.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to let go, and there's a, like I said, there are a lot of stories that I've heard throughout my career that I just, it breaks my heart, and I just go, oh my gosh. So I pray a lot for them.
Yeah.
But you know I truly believe that with God's help and your willingness to forgive, and many times we don't know how to forgive, and
Mhm.
that's okay, because there isn't a right way or a wrong way to do it. It's just your way. But
Yeah.
if you're willing to let go and open your heart a little bit, because you love yourself so
Mhm.
much
Yeah.
that you want to give yourself the love, then you can gradually kind of let go of those situations in the past that have been traumatizing. And hey, the relationship that I walked out of, um he left me with $10 to my name, so I was going to go live in the park, truly. And I thought, the hell with this, because I just knew that my soul was worth more than $10. So I was willing to do whatever it took to rise and to get back to who I am. But I didn't know who I was, but now I know who I am. And so you have to constantly work at it, and it's a daily practice. I have a daily spiritual practice. I have a
Mhm.
daily practice. And I see my horse every day,
Mhm.
and I see clients every day. So I stay, I think that having some sort of discipline and routine in your life is important. Like, kids need discipline, kids need a routine, animals need discipline, animals need a routine. That's how you accomplish goals, is to be diligent about the process.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the fact that you had these things to learn from, even to come to the conclusion and to just put whatever you put in the book. You learned from the experiences that you had, you learned from other people's experiences, you learned from nature, you learned from animals. And so you bring all this together and you have a book with you.
Yes, because like I said, everybody is our teacher.
Mhm.
Everything is our teacher, from Mother Earth to the animals to the relationships and to ourselves. And
Yeah,
the thing that you can do is to look at yourself in the mirror and to truly look into the mirror, into your eyes, and say, I love you. I forgive you,
yeah,
because that will change your life just by doing that. And it's amazing that you would be surprised. I take people through certain exercises, or not exercises, but I call them homework assignments. I say, well, I'm giving you homework, and you have to do your homework, because that's the next step to get to where the next level, to where you want to be,
oh,
to resolve some of that stuff, that's the burdens that are within the body. And
oh,
one of the exercises I make people do is stand in front of the mirror and say, look at yourself. And you'd be surprised on how many people don't and can't. And it's challenging. So I challenge you to do that tonight. Look at yourself in the mirror
yeah,
and
sure.
look to your eyes and say, I love you. I forgive you.
Yeah.
And you'll see that it's called a Buddha smile. Like your face gets really happy and your eyes get excited, because your inner spirit wants to be greeted. It
Mhm.
wants it wants to be heard. It wants to be known. And when
Mm.
you tap into that inner spirit, your creative vibes just explode. Your ability to use your imagination to expand beyond your, your limiting beliefs just kind of go like wildfire, because now you're tapping into your true potential, your highest potential, because
Yeah.
that's the childlike spirit. But you have to see yourself first from that, from from your eyes.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Guys, we need to do our homework.
Do your homework.
Go and do your homework.
That's right.
Now, you talk about these dimensions of a human being. You have the mind, you have the body, you have the spirit, and all these are incorporated into the journey. I mean, they have, I believe, I don't know about you, can we achieve an equilibrium of them, balance, so to say? And how can someone achieve that?
How can you achieve balance? I think that might be an illusion, because we have to deal with everyday life, and
Yeah.
every day, people, we have to deal with, people and situations, and life happens. So
Mhm.
is there ever a perfect balance? I don't know if that's possible, or humanly possible.
Mhm.
But what you can do is, when life happens as it's going to,
Yeah.
you can find that peace within inside of you, and
Mhm.
that is the journey as well, is to find that peace. So it's recognizing that the world is spinning around you, and yes, there's chaos and and strife and tribulation and all that kind of stuff, but it's how you feel about yourself. So can you sit in the middle of that storm?
Mhm.
And that's through my yoga, through my yoga practice and my meditation practice, is where I've been able to sit through certain storms and
Mhm.
find that peace, because I've had to find that peace in order to write these books. I've had to find that peace in order to be able to think clearly on
Mhm.
how I'm going to share my message with the world. Because when we come from a chaotic perspective, and the mind chatter, right, it's like the hamster wheel that just never stops. You
Mhm.
can't think clearly, and without thinking clearly, you can't hear infinite wisdom. You can't hear that voice. That silence is extremely valuable, and that's where the wisdom is. So you have to be able to bring yourself down to balance. So
Mhm.
maybe that's the question you're asking. Can we, I don't know, you can't necessarily balance all of life, but you can begin to balance yourself through your breath
Okay, that's
and through
wonderful.
breathing.
That's
So you
wonderful.
bring yourself to peace
Yeah.
by, by sitting your butt on the ground, or sitting, on a chair, and taking in those deep breaths, like all the way, I always tell people to inhale for the count of 4, hold it for a count of 2, exhale for a count of 6. It slows the central nervous system down, and it gets you from the fight or flight mind, um, uh, the sympathetic mind, to a space of peace and relaxation. So you take your brain literally through the breath work from crazy to non-crazy,
Mhm.
and that's how you can settle down. That's how the anxiety begins to dissipate, and you bring yourself back to balance. Now you've accessed your power, your true power, and now you're able to propel forward, because you're not running from the mind, you're running from here, which is the power presence within the body.
I love the way you take it. I mean, I was expecting you to begin from the body. It's an inside out story. It's not an outside in story. It's an inside out.
It's an
It all
inside,
begins from the inside, and then it's
right?
going to affect your surrounding. It's going to affect the relationships you have, the results that you're going to have, you are seeking in your life. It all starts
Yes.
from the inside, the
All,
soul, the mind,
everything
and
everything
everything.
starts from the inside. So when we chase, people, when we chase things, when we get grasping, when we're like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that, you're not operating from a space of true power. You're operating in a space of chaos. And then typically that's when you repeat patterns, sabotaging patterns, and manipulating patterns within your own life, and how you operate. So you have to be able to take yourself from one dimension and move it over to the other dimension, in order for that transition to in order for that transition to stick,
Yeah.
and so that you're able to come from a different place. So it takes a little bit of practice. Isn't an overnight journey. Nothing about my journey has been overnight. It's,
Nothing
but
comes
you have to take
overnight.
a step. You have to take a step and approach it with kindness and compassion, and just a willingness to rise and to connect to your own faith, whatever that is, and
Yeah.
how that works for you.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it takes the first step to go through the journey and through this charmed journey. I want to believe that there's someone who is watching this show this time round, or is even going to watch in the future, which will determine the start of a journey. And someone may start the journey
That's right.
by,
It'll be the start of their journey.
yeah, and someone is going to start the
Whenever
journey
I
by,
show up in front of somebody, it always kind of just blows up in their face, and they're like, "Oh, that one girl said something," and all of a sudden their life begins to unravel.
oh, yeah. So someone is going to grab your book. How many pages are they expecting to read?
I think it's a relatively short read, maybe 105, 108. I'm not quite sure. To be honest, I don't even identify with this girl anymore. I look at this book and I go, who's that? Because
Yeah.
I had read it for so long ago, and that, yes, that is me, but that is no longer who I am. But it was the journey that got me here.
Oh,
So it's a short read, probably, like I said, 100 pages, and Trigger's book, which is an inspirational book for kids, because
yeah.
I wrote that for them to believe in themselves, and to, when life gets you down, to have the courage to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and keep going. And as I said, animals are our greatest teachers, so that's why I wrote it about Trigger. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's one step at a time. The journey never ends. As long as we're here breathing, we're still, figuring life out to some degree.
Yeah.
And does everyone know the answer? Well, probably not. And if somebody came along and says, "Oh, I have all the answers for this," I would go,
No one has. No one has.
"No, not so much."
Okay. Now, whom do you most specifically recommend it to?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Whom do you recommend the book to? Whom mostly do you recommend the book to?
So you mean I well, that's interesting. I'm so grateful for, my parents, my mom and my dad, for the life experiences that I had.
Mhm.
And so, I grew up in Montana, and yeah, I grew up on a farm. So I had my challenges with, both parents.
Or I meant the target reader of the book, actually.
That you want to read the book. So, well, the book is on Amazon, so you can just go to Amazon and buy it from there.
Okay, yeah, someone can buy the book from Amazon. It's a Charmed Journey, an inspired guide to personal transformation by
Yes.
Angela Lenhardt. Go and search it on Amazon, or go to Angela Lenhardt. Don't, it's a hard name to pronounce. Forgive me.
That's okay. Lenhardt. And some people call me
Lenhardt.
Lionheart. I guess I have like a lion, a heart of a lion. But
Heart of a Lion. Yeah. So angelalenhardt.com. Yeah.
yes, very
Yeah, we're
good.
gonna put that link there. So we are just about to get through the show, but we can't leave without your parting shot. What would you like to leave with the people with?
Well, I want to just reiterate that you have one life to live.
Mhm.
So surround yourself with good, positive people that share messages of hope and faith of some sort, and to truly believe in yourself. Because when I started out writing my book, like I said, I didn't have a fan club. I don't think I had very few people that even trusted that what I was doing was even sane.
Yeah.
So, but I had a few friends that supported me and loved me and trusted me.
Mhm.
And I said that I was committed to doing this, and they just said, "Okay, what do you need and how can I help?" And that's how I've accomplished the goals, is because I really surrounded myself by good people, and I stayed very disciplined and studying people who had walked a similar path that I aspired to be like, you
Yeah.
know, from a heartfelt connection. So that would be what that I would say, is that, do what's on your heart, and give it a shot. And if you fail, who cares? Get up and try it again. I mean, what's the worst thing that somebody's gonna do? Tell you no? I mean, do you know how many times I've been told no? So
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, cool, but don't let people stop you. Don't let naysayers, get in your face. Just look at it as, oh, I'm gonna go around this now and move on.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you. I agree with you. Most of what you've talked about with the relationships, I've experienced it in different areas, even when I was writing my book, Be Good for Good. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Angela,
I'm very
yep.
picky. I said I have to be very picky about who I want to share my space with. So it's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
So, Angela, we are very blessed and we are very happy that we have had you in our show. Thank you very much for everything that you shared with us. And for the viewers, those who are watching now, or even when you're watching it the recorded version of this show, we really appreciate your time, each and every one of you. So thank you very much, Angela. We thank
Thank
you.
you, Anthony. It's been a pleasure. You are a delight. I just love seeing your face today.
Thank you very much. And have a great day until next time.
All right. Sounds good.